We're going to go ahead through this modeling percents, and I don't think you're going to have too much trouble with it. Percents are something that we use a lot of, whether we're shopping or whether we're in math or whether we're talking about a grade. But we're going to go ahead and bang through these couple pages, and then you can jump to your homework. But it's important that you follow along here and make sure that you're going through the guided practice. But anyway, percent is a part of a whole ratio where the whole is always 100. So when we're talking about a percent, it's always out of 100. Now, that number could change clearly. So if it's 10 questions, it's out of 10 questions. 10 out of 10 is 100. If it's talking about 100 questions, it's out of 100. 100 out of 100 would be 100%, and so on down the line. All right, use the hundreds model to shade the following quantities, okay? So what you're going to do is look for to shade 50%, right? So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So I would draw a line here, and I would go ahead and shade that 50. And I would write the percent down as 50%. My part is 50. My whole is 100. And that equals 1/2. My next block is asking me to shade in 35 blocks. And these are rows of 10 again, 10, 20, 30. So I'm going to clearly just kind of shade those in and then count 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And kind of just shade that in there. So my percent is 35%. My part is 35. The whole in this instance, there's 100 blocks. And that simplifies to divided by 5 is 7. Divided by 5 is 20. The last one is 10. 10 blocks. To represent 10 blocks is 10%. And that's 10 blocks out of 100, which equals 1/10 reduced down. Okay? All right, let me pick this up just a little bit for you, and we can take a peek here. What percent of the squares are shaded? What percent? So 10, 20, 5. So there's 25%. When it's out of 100, it's pretty easy. What is the ratio of white squares, not shaded ones, to total squares? Well, the total again is 100. And if I have shaded 25, that means 75 aren't shaded. So it's 75 to 100, right? Or 75 out of 100. How are the percents and the ratios related? Both compare, right, the part to the whole. Okay. All right, pretty easy start. We're moving right along here because it's a pretty easy lesson. I'm going to flip the page here and let's take a look at it here. Okay. All right. A percent can also be written, as a decimal. All right. All right. So real quick, all right, to change a percent to a decimal, we're going to move that decimal point 2 places to the left. But anyway, we have 70%, which is 70 out of 100, which equals 70 hundredths or 7/10. Now, again, I prefaced this by saying, hey, there's a decimal point in any number, and there it would be at the beginning. I would move that 2 to the left. So to go from a percent to a decimal, we move it 2 to the left. That's a quick way to cheat about it. 28% is 28 out of 100. And again, if I move that 2 to the left, I end up with 28, hundredths. Next one up is 16%. 16% is 16 out of 100 because a percent's always out of 100. And again, if I want to change that to a decimal, I move that decimal point 2 places to the left, and I would rewrite that as 16 hundredths. And the last one would be 62 out of 100, and that would be 62 hundredths. Not bad so far, okay? I'm going to bring it up just a little bit. 25%, write it Why is it 25%? 10, 25. The part is 25. The whole is 100. That reduces to 1/4. And again, 1, 2 to the left to get to a decimal is 25/100. But you really should know that 1/4 equals 25/100. So you're seeing how all this fits together. 85%. Okay. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of just roll 80. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to shade those in. There they are. So 85% is 85 out of 100. And that certainly will simplify to 17/20. I divided both of those by 5. 85% is 85/100. I guess I should put a 0 there because we have no whole number. Okay, so let's work backwards here. 40 out of 100, well, that's simple. That's 40%. That certainly will reduce down to 4/10, and I'm going to divide those again by 2. You see, I divided those by 10, and I end up with 2/5. 2/5, if you think of money, would be 40 cents, right? Or just move it 2 to the left, right? And let's go ahead back up here and shade 40% in, which would be 4 rows. And there we are. Okay. Number 4 reads, write that as a ratio of a part to a whole. At Rosemont Middle School, 55% of the students' body purchases their lunches at school. Okay, so a part to a whole would be 55 out of 100, and that would equal 11/20. So it would. I also could write that as 55 out of 100, and that would also equal 11/20. So all of those are congruent. Next up, and I'm going to continue on here. What percent represents the student body who brings their lunches? Who brings? So if 55 bring their lunch, 45, right? 45% does not, because 45 plus 55 is 100%. So 45 bring their lunch. The last one. How are both of these percents related to the whole? All right. Both compared to the whole, right? Because 55% plus 45% equals 100%. So I don't think you're going to have too much trouble with that, and that's why we kind of assigned this on Friday. If you didn't get the quiz done yesterday, please do so, but you should be in good shape. Okay, guys, have a good day.